Om Vakratunde Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Bharade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karashyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurave Sarvalokanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Nidhaye Sarvavidyanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Shrutismritipurananamalaya Karunalayam Namami Bhagavadpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Sakshat Kratam Dayanandam Paramarthasvarupinam Tattvajnana Prashastaram Pranatosmi Param Padam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastama Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitham Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankhayate Girim Yatkrupa Tamaham Bande Paramananda Madhavam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
अथ पंचदशोऽध्यायः
अथ पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः।
पंचदशोऽध्यायः समाप्तः. Right? We have completed. We will see the summary. Adhyayasya Saraha. Chapter 15 chapter called by the name Purushottama Yogaha. Starting from 13th chapter onwards up to the 18th chapter, the last chapter. Charama Shatkam Gitayaha. Charama Shatkam, the last chapter. Antima Shatkam, the last group of six chapters. 13th chapter important. Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga. 14th chapter also important. And this chapter also. The topic dealt with 13th chapter, 14th chapter is Jnanam. And this chapter also, another important chapter. So this chapter also discussed Jnanam. So after this chapter, we will see 16th chapter, 16, 17. In those chapters, Jnanam would not be discussed, but values, the sadhanas are discussed. Even though sadhanas, values are discussed in 13th chapter, but they are equated to Jnanam, Kshetrajna, etc. Kshetram, Kshetrajna are discussed. So therefore, this chapter, you can say that is like 13th and 14th chapter deals with Jnanam. How do we say Jnanam? Because there are many shlokas where the Ishvara Jagatrupena Katham Vartate iti Paramatma Atma Rupena Jivatma Paramatmanoh Aikyamapi Kutrachit Pradipaditam. We will see in the summary. And this chapter begins with Samsara Varnanam, the first three shloka. Adi Traya Shloke Samsara Vrikshasya Varnanam. Ayam Samsara Vrikshaha Vishalaha Anityaha cha. Samsara Vrikshaha. Samsara, this compared to a huge Ashwatta Vriksha. It is vast. It is so vast. It is immeasurable. It is Anityaha. Asya Samsara Vrikshasya Moolam tu Parabrahma. Ataha Urdvam Moolam. It's Moola. Moola is Brahma, which is not visible. And this Samsara Vrikshasya Shakaha Sarvatra Vyaptaha Santi. Asya Vrikshasya Adastana Moolani Vasanaha Vasanajanya Karmani cha Santi. The Vrikshasya Moola, they are strengthened by the karma of the jivas. Tena jivaha karmana karmabhihi jivaha samsare dridaha badhyate. Ataha ayam samsaraha maya rupaha ayam samsaraha. Tasya adihi vartate va adihi antaha. Tat jnatum na shakyate. You cannot probe the adi and anta of the samsara. Like the adi of the swapna can we find out in the swapna prapancha. When that swapna came, the dreamer cannot find. Therefore, similarly, samsarasya vikshasya adi anta madhyam api jnatum na shakyate. Jnatum api na shakyate. Vivekena vairagyena. Vivekena vairagya rupam dridam shastram svikritya asanga shastrena. Vairagya eva shastram. Vairagya bhana vivekajanya vairagyam vairagya rupam dridam shastram asanga shastram tena samsar vrikshasya kartanam karaniyam. Because his moola is suvirudam, and therefore only with the weapon of this asanga shastra, asanga, that is vairagya shastrena dridena chitva. Chitva, it is not complete, and continues in the next shloka. 3 shlokas description of samsara varnanam. Then 4th to 6th shloka, samsara nivritti sadhanani. That is like vairagya rupena shastrena samsara vriksham chitva. Then tadanantaram sadhakena tat padam, tat paramam padam, moksha padam, brahmaswarupam, prapaniyam, parimargitavyam. Kidrisham padam tat. That also is said. Yata sthanam prapya punaha asmin samsare dukkhamaya samsare na nivartanti nivartante yadgatva punarjanma na bhavati tadeva paramam padam. So in the fourth to sixth shloka. So therefore, there total asangaha, detachment, sadhana, that is one of the sadhana. And then next it said, Yasmat Ishvarat Asya Jagataha Pravrittihi Bhavati Pravrittihi Prasrutaha Purani. This Jagat Tam Yasmat Ishvat Tam Ishvaram Adyam Purusham Aham Prapadye. Prapadye, the word is important. Therefore, Sharanagati, surrender to the Ishvara, that is Bhakti. Surrender to the Ishvara, surrender to the Lord for what? For Mokshartam. Surrender to the Prapadye, surrender to the Shastra, surrender to the Shastram, surrender to the Lord. To the Shastram only can be known, therefore, surrendering Sharanagati. Sharanagati hi eva upayaha. So therefore, tam adyam purusham prapadye, the adi purusha, Ishvaraha, tam aham prapadye, tameva chadyam purusham prapadye. Saha idrishaha, saha purusha kidrishaha iti pritchet. Yasmat paramatmanaha jagat जगतः सृष्टिः भवति तं जगत्कारणं परमेश्वरम् अहं प्रपद्ये जगत्कारणं तत् ब्रह्म अहं प्रपद्ये and therefore ब्रह्म शरणागति ईश्वर शरणागति. So ईश्वर शरणागति, that is upaya. And finally, by inquiring into the shastram, the sadhaka discovers the fact that Brahma, that Ishvara, Parameshwara is myself. That comes later, and that is said where by mentioning the adhikaris, indirectly the sadhanas are mentioned. Like the 13th chapter, Amanittam, Adambittam, etc. are mentioned. Similarly here also, it is mentioned in the 13th chapter. It is called Jnanam, the values which have to be imbibed, cultivated. And in 16th chapter, we are going to see, they are called Devi Sampat. Those are the sadhanas, the values, the Vairagya, Bhakti, Sharanagati, all these are the sadhana. But main sadhanam is this Shastra Adhyayanam, Vedanta Vichara. So therefore, main being Vedanta Vichara, therefore Asanga Shastrena, Tat Padam is Brahma Padam, that is Padam can be known only by Vedanta Vichara. Then you, through Vedanta Vichara, Shastra Vichara, Tam Purusham Prapadya, you discover, you get the knowledge of Ishvara, Brahma, through Shastram, and therefore you surrender. Because when everything is Ishvara, like in the 15th chapter, like in the 11th chapter or 10th chapter, that Ishvara Vibhuti is presented, everything is Ishvara. Or in the Rudram, when everything is Ishvara, therefore you do Namaskara to all, therefore naturally the resultant attitude would be Bhakti. Bhakti, the Sharanagati, either born due to knowledge, or Sharanagati, the Bhakti, the attitude is cultivated. With that attitude, you approach the Shastram, that is Sharanagati. Okay, then, and the values are mentioned indirectly by mentioning the sadhakas. So it is said this tat parimargitavyam and tam yaha ish jagatah yaha jagatah srishti karta saha jagat karanatmaka ishvaraha tam aham prapadye. That Ishvara, that padam, that Ishvara, that Brahma padam, padyate gamyate iti padam. That knowledge of that Ishvara, because there is no going inward. Brahma padam or Vishnu padam, it is knowing. It is not the Vishnu residing in one place or Shiva residing in Kailasha. So Brahma padam, that is a knowledge. Padyate gamyate iti padam, the knowledge of Brahma. So that के पुरुषाः तं पदं तत्पदं प्राप्तुं समर्थाः इति पृच्छेत्. That is given. निर्माणमोहाः चित्तसङ्गदोषाः अध्यात्मनित्याः विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैः विमुक्ताः सुखदुःखसंज्ञैः द्वन्द्वैः विमुक्ताः विमूढाः अमूढाः otherwise not विमूढाः अमूढाः गच्छन्ति अमूढाः तत्पदम् अव्ययं पदं गच्छन्ति. तत्पदं परिमार्गितव्यं यत् पूर्वम् उच्यते तत्पदं के गच्छन्ति इति पृच्छेत्. These people who are endowed with these qualities, nirmana mogaha no moha, sanga doshas are jitaha, adhyatma nityaha, that is important, adhyatma nityaha, adi atmani eva, adi atmani adhyatma nitya, atmani eva, this atma vichara, vedanta vichara, adhyatma nityaha. And Vinivirtakamaha, from whom all the kamas have gone, and who are free from all the pairs of opposites like Sukha, Dukkha, etc. So Amudaha, they are free from this delusion. Those people, they kachanti. It means these are sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, endowed with sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, who are always into the adhyatma vichara, adhyatma nityaha, te gachanti, tat padam gachanti. So these people who are with sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, with these qualities, tat padam gachanti, that padam is atma padam, brahma padam, avayam padam, tat padam. Tat padam, yat padam, suryaha na vasate, na shashankaha, na cha pavakaha vasayate, yad gatva na nivartante, having reached na nivartante, there is no returning back. That padam is my padam. Iti Bhagavan says it is. It is having reached that padam. Reaching is only by knowledge. Having gained that, there is no returning back. It means moksha. Having reached so nirmana moksha, etc. All those indicates values. So those who are endowed with those values, those are the real sampatti. They reach that padam, and that padam is my padam. They reach my padam means they reach me. It means they reach me by knowing. Therefore, it is Tadhava Paramam Mama. That padam is my. It is Mahavakya. They reach. There is no physical reach. It is only by knowing. And Mama is only Upacharikam. That padam is Ishvara alone, Brahma Eva. Therefore, they reach, and there is no return. That is Aikyam. So therefore, endowed with sadhana chatushtaya sampatti and taking up the mukhya sadhana, which is adhyatma nityaha, Vedanta vichara, and through Mahavakya Upadesha, discover that the truth, that Jivatma and Paramatma are same. Jivatma Paramatmanoho Vedatvam Nasti. So therefore, they come to me, that is my padam. It means they become, or they recognize Brahma with Brahmaiva Bhavati ityartaha. Then from the seventh shloka, in fact, seventh shloka up to 15th shloka, from seventh to 11th shloka, Paramatma eva jiva rupena bhavati iti uktva. Then 12th shloka to 15th shloka, that Paramatma alone in the form of Jagat, Jagat rupena bhavati. So jiva and this Jagat is nothing but Paramatma alone. Jiva and Jagat. So seventh shloka to 11th shloka. So nature of Brahma, which is the teaching of the Upanishad, is presented. So that Brahma, which is Kshetrajna, as a very Jiva, Kshetrajna. Therefore Bhagavan says, Mamevamshaha Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha Jivaloke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha Ayam Jivatma Mama Eva Amshaha. Ityukte Jivatma Paramatmanoho Vedaka Nasti. Kintu Saha Jiva Ajnanena Maya Jale Patati. Samsari Bhutva Brahmati. So Samsaritvam is self-imposed, superimposed by the Jiva on itself. Bhagavan says, Mamaiva Amshaha indicates that Mama Amsha indicates Jiva, the Kshetrajna. So therefore it is Jivaha is, Jivatma is Paramatma alone. The Shariri, the Atma, Kshetrajna. So therefore it is Atma alone. Shariram is also Jadam and there are Jada Vastu. What is the difference? The Shariram is different. The Jada Shariram, the Shariram of us, the human beings, is different from the other Jada Vastu because in this Shariram there is Chaitanyam. There is Chaitanyam. So therefore, the action which is done by the body is an indicator of that Shariri. That Chaitanyam, the Paramatma is there. That Jivatma is that the Jivatma is not different from Paramatma. So therefore, this fact will be evident only to which people? Those people who have got Samskrita Antakaranam. Therefore he says, Vimudaha Nanu Pashyanti. Vimuda do not recognize this fact. And therefore this Ajnani Jivaha, what happened to that Ajnani Jiva in the samsara? Prakritistani Shashtani Indriyani Manaha Shashtani Indriyani Karshati. And this Jivatma Yata Shariram Avapnoti Yata Cha Utkaramati Yata Vayuhu Ashyat Gandhan Iva Etani Grihitva Sanyati. The Jiva, because of Ajnanam, travels from Shariram to Shariram. And the word Ishvara is used. Ishvara is Jivaha only. So therefore, Paramatma alone in the form of Jivatma is there, but Jivatma not aware of that due to Ajnanam. Therefore travels from Shariram to Shariram, taking up with itself all the Indriyas and the related Vasanas, Karma, etc. Like Vayuhu, Gandhan, Iva Ashayat. Then from the Shotram, Chakshu, everything, all this. Then from the Shloka number, that is what is said. Then Shloka number 12 onwards. There is Sarvatma Bhava, Ishvara in the form of this Jagat is pointed out. Sarvam Kaluvidam Brahma. Everything is Ishvara alone, Brahma Eva. And that is said, as it said in the 7th chapter, and even in the 10th chapter, that Paramatma alone, this Agitam Jagat, Vasayate, Yatu Vasayate, Adityagatam Tejaha, Yatu Chandramasi Vartate, Yatu Agno Vartate, tat tejah mamakam mama ishwarasya eva iti vidhi. Mama ishwarasya, it means that Bhagavan alone is in the form of this Jagat. Paramatma alone in the form of this Jagat. Ishvara is everything. That Brahma I am. And Brahma is everything. See, Brahma is everything. And that Brahma is I am. This both both are required. Brahma is everything. Aham Brahma, okay. Aham Brahma Asmi. But that Brahma alone is everything. That also, that knowledge also is important. Aham Brahma, if Brahma is not known to me as this everything, this Jagat, and Aham Brahma will be a Brahma which is limited Brahma. Therefore, the knowledge is complete only when we say Aham Brahma, and this Brahma is everything. It means I am everything. I am alone in the form of this Jagat. Therefore, the light, the sunlight, the moonlight, and firelight, the tejas, what is there, it is all belongs to me. It is my vibhuti, it is my glory. It is Ishvara's glory, and Ishvara is not different from me. Therefore, my glory, and therefore, I am alone in the form of everything. And Aham Gam Avishya. Gam is Prithvi Avishya. Vajasat Bhutani Dharayami. And Rasatmakaha Somaha Bhutva Sarvaha Aushadihi Pushnami cha. And Aham Vaishvanaraha Bhutva. I alone become the Vaishvanara. Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Aham Pachami Chaturvidam Annam. Then Aham Sarvasya Hrudi Sannivishtaha. I am alone in the Hridaya Guha of the Jiva. Mattaha Smritihi Jnanam Apoharam cha. Mattaha eva the Smritihi, remembering Jnanam knowledge, Apoharam even forgetfulness. Everything is born of me, everything is me alone. All these capacities, abilities, the Shakti, not different from the one who wields this Shakti. And I am alone is known from the Veda. So therefore, Vedehi Ahameva Vedyaha. Vedehi Ahameva Vedyaha, Brahma Eva Vedyaha, Brahma Asti Tad Brahma Ahamasmi iti. So that Ahameva Vedyaha, Ahameva Vedanta Krita. Vedanta Krita. Vedanta Krita is the Sampradaya, the Guru. Guru is the Pramanam. So therefore, Guru is the Vedaha. Vedyaha is Prameyam. What is Vedyaha? What is known is Prameyam, which is that Prameyam which is to be known. And Pramanam is this Vedanta, Guru who, Vedanta, Shastram. Vedanta is a Pramanam. By Guru, because from the mouth of the Guru, only Vedanta alone we hear. Therefore, this Vedanta Krita, and by the Veda, what is Vedyam? Aham Vedyam, I am alone, is the object of knowledge of these Vedas. So, therefore, the whole, the Triputi Jagat, the Triputi Rupa Jagat, the Dvandvatmika Jagat, I alone. So, I am alone is known to be the Vedas. Therefore, the knower is the Jiva, and the Swarupa of Jiva is not different from Paramatma, Brahma, and that is known from the Pramanam, that also comes from Ishvara, and what is to be known, that is also Ishvara. So therefore, all the three is me alone. Therefore, Sarvatma Bhava, everything is Ishvara alone. So Sarvehi Vedahi Ahameva Vedyaha. Aham Vedanta Krita Vedavicha Iti Uktva. In this, then the 16th to 18th shloka. Kaha Purushottamaha iti uchyate. Introduced two Purushas. Imau logo dvau Purushostaha. Aksharaha otherwise called Aksharaha and Aksharaha. Aksharaha has got Aksharaha referring to this Kshara. Sarvani Bhutani Ksharaha, this Kshara Prapancha, this Kshara. Kutastaha Aksharaha iti uchyate. Aksharaha, it is Maya, Avyakta, you can call any name. This is Akshara. But Uttamaha tu Anyaha Uttama Purushaha asti Yaha Paramatma iti Udahritaha Saha Avyayaha Ishvaraha Lokatrayam Avishya Bibharti. He alone sustains. Therefore, three things are there. That is dividing the Prakriti into two, Paraprakriti, Aparaprakriti, and further dividing the Aparaprakriti into Akshara Purusha and Akshara Purusha. Paraprakriti, otherwise called Uttama Purusha. That Uttama Purusha, that is Purushottama, I alone, Lokatrayam Avishya Bibharti. Here Ishvara is here. Ishvara is Ishvara, Paramatma. The Shloka 17. So, therefore, the Kshara is this Jagat, and Akshara Purusha is Maya, and Uttama Purusha is Brahma. Kshara and Akshara comes under Apara Prakriti, Pradhana, or Prakriti in the language of Sankhya. And Uttama Purusha is Para Prakriti. So, therefore, compared to Kshara, Akshara is superior. Compared to Akshara, Brahma, Uttama Purusha is superior. Therefore, Uttamaha. Because superior, therefore, Uttamaha, Uttama Purushaha iti. Uttamaha Purushaha. Saham Uttamaha Purushaha. I alone pervades this entire Jagat and I alone sustain this also. Aham Vivarti. Then in the last two shlokas, then in the 18th shloka, he said, Esmat Aksharat Atita, I am greater than the Akshara. That's why Uttamaha Purushottamaha iti. Then the last two shloka, 19 and 20, where Phalam of this Jnanam and this Jnana Stuti also is said. E Bharata, Asammudaha yaha mam evam Purushottamam janati saha sarvavit bhavati sarvavit sarvabhavena mam bhajati. That is the Phalam. Sarvavit bhavati. Yasmin jnate sarvam idam jnatam bhavati. Yata shaunakahena prishtaha. Tasmin bhava vijnate sarvidam vijnatam bhavati. Therefore, the Phalam is Sarvajna. Yajnatva, having known, there is nothing else to be known. Therefore, Sahakrita Krityaha Bhavati. That is the Phalam, the benefit. And Ye Anagha He Bharata iti idam gugyatamam shastra maya vuktam etad buddhva manushyaha buddhiman manushyaha kritakrityaha bhavati. They will attain fulfillment. Kritakrityaha. Kritam krityam ena. They have done what is to be done. Nothing else to be done. Achieve the life purpose. Kritakrityaha. So Kritakrityaha means fulfillment. Attaining the that are discovering the fulfillment. See, Sarvavit and Kritakrityaha. Sarvavit is the knowledge of everything. Sarvam, Sarvavit, Sarvajnaha. Yasmin Jnate, Sarvamidam Vijnatam Bhavati. We may not be interested in knowing everything. But we need that fulfillment, that whether intellect is fulfilled or not, that is one thing. But we want that emotional fulfillment. There is no lack in me. Aham Purnaha, that emotional fulfillment, there is no dependency. That knowledge is great. Kritakrityaha. The spiritual inquiry starts with, is there a God? How is he? Where he would be? all this nature. These are all inquiry because there is intellectual, there is intellectual quest for to know. That is one thing. Whether that intellectual quest is fulfilled or not, it is different thing. But what we want is that shanti, this dukkha nivrittihi, because I am burnt in this samsara. I am burnt in this samsara. This samsara, that burning is nothing but this emotional bondage. Want to be free from all these emotional disturbances. That is the ultimate goal. This intellectual, that quest and the satisfaction is one thing. That fulfillment, that fulfillment of the knowledge, that is fine. But emotionally, I become steady, stable, not influenced by Gurunapi na vichalyate, as said in the fourth chapter, not shaken even by heaviest sorrow. That emotion fulfillment, that is kritakrityaha, that is the palam, the kritakrityaha. All other purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, everything resolves in this moksha. Having discovered the fulfillment, there is nothing else which I need to accomplish because I have accomplished is already accomplished. Discovering that I am already accomplished, all complete, all full, all knowledge. So that gives me the relaxation, that mental, that happiness, that fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. Knowledge always will be, knowledge when intellectual when there is a seeking for intellectual fulfillment. Like in Vyakaranam, we keep on learning, it never ends. It never ends. Any knowledge for that matter. But kritakrityaha, when we say, kritakrityaha, when we say emotionally complete, fulfilled, the notion that aham, apurnaha, insignificant, inadequacy, that is gone. So that is this palam. So therefore, kritakrityaha iti, that is, the palam is presented, and therefore by presenting the palam, stuti is done, praise is done. So therefore, here in this chapter, starting from samsara varnanam and moksha upaya, which is told, that is moksha upaya is sharanagati, and jiva ishvara aikyam, mahavakyam also presented, and sarvatma bhava, ishvara alone is in the form of everything. Though these topics were covered before, but in this chapter, all these are summarized. And finally, this Purushottama, the Nirguna Swarupam Brahma, and the knowledge of knowing that Purushottama, the Palam, that was also discussed. And the highlight of this chapter is Purushottama Swarupa. That is why this chapter is called Purushottama Yogaha. Therefore, it is Sri Bhagavad Gita, so Upanishadsu, Om Iti. This Om Iti comes every Om Tat Sat Iti. Om Tat Sat, it comes with every chapter. Om Tat Sat. Om is the name of Brahma. That Brahma is alone is the Tat Sat. It is the reality. So Om Tat Sat, it indicates the chapter is concluded. Conclusion of the chapter, Om Tat Sat. Then the other words in the line indicates what chapter, what is the name of the chapter, and sambandha between whom, and what is the subject matter of the Shastram, which is, of course, a common for all the chapters. Brahma, that is Bhagavad Gita, which is in the form of dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, and it is the Brahma Vidyayam, and it's also Yoga Shastra, because subject matter is both Brahma Vidya as well as Yoga Shastra. And it is Upanishad. Every chapter is called Upanishad, except the first chapter, because there is no, there the yoga meaning the context. Here the yoga is topic. The topic is Purushottama. So that is the Vishaya, that is the topic. So therefore, Purushottama Yogaha, that is the topic. And this chapter is also like the Upanishad. It presents the essence of the Upanishad. Therefore, Upanishadsu, subject matter of which is Brahma Vidya as well as Yoga Shastra, Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga meaning sadhanam. Sadhanas were talked about, values, etc. They all come under yoga. Meant for finally knowledge. So Karma Yoga, it is Parampara Sadhanam, and Saksha Sadhanam is Jnanam. Therefore, both are discussed. That's why Brahma Vidya, Yoga Shastre, Krishna Arjuna Sambhade, and the topic is Purushottamaha, Purushottama Yogaha, Yoga evening topic. With this, the chapter is concluded. So, therefore, up to this, that is 13th, 14th, 15th chapter, important chapter in the sense, Jnanam is emphasized. And from this chapter, 16th chapter, we will see that is not the Jnanam, but the sadhanas, the values are emphasized. The values like Amanittam, Adambittam, etc., what were taught before, those are in detail now dealt with in this chapter, 16th and 17th chapter. So let us begin this chapter with introduction. This Shodashodhyayaha. And the chapter is called Devasura Sampat Vibhaga Yogaha. The topic is Deva Sampat, Devi Sampat, Devasura, Asuri Sampat. So by that we can understand that the topic is going to be the preparation for Jnanam. Therefore, Jnana Sadhanani. For Jnanam, what are the sadhanams, what are the preparations required on the part of the seeker? Therefore, here, Jnana Sadhanani, see, the Pramanam is there, Pramanam Shastram is there, and Prameyam also, Prameyam, that is the knowledge, what is to be known. The Pramanam is there, and Prameyam is self-evident. Prameyam is there. So Pramanam, Prameyam is there. In spite of that, Pramata not able to appreciate the Prameyam revealed by the Pramanam, then it means the Pramata has some lack. The defect is not in the Pramanam, the defect is not in the Prameya, because Prameya is this Atma which is self-evident. So therefore, and Prameyam, that what the knowledge is also conveyed by the Acharya, giving the benefit of doubt and assuming that communication, the teaching is also proper. Still, the student is not able to understand what is conveyed by the Pramanam, what is revealed by the Pramanam. It means the defect is only in the Pramata, not in the Pramanam, not in the Prameyam. Pramata, Pramanam, Prameyam. Pramanam, eyes are there. And the Prameyam, a flower is there, rose flower. When Pramanam is operated, the Prameyam is revealed. It has to, but still you don't see the flower, the red flower. It means there is problem with the eyes. Similarly, there is here the problem is with the Pramata. That is why we always emphasize Adhikaritvam. Since there is a lack on the part of the sadhaka, the student, Therefore, preparation is required. In fact, the preparation takes sometimes lives, not one life. Bhagunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Bhagavan says, Bhagunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate iti. So therefore, it requires is a preparation, a serious and consistent, preparation. So therefore, the chapter 16th and 17th chapter deals with the preparation. Though already been taught before here and there in 13th chapter in the form of jnanam, etc. And this chapter is going to be that. So therefore, this chapter is called Deva Asura Sampat Vibhaga Yogaha, chapter in which Deva virtues and Asura vices both are taught, and from both have to be discriminated. You have to weigh them both and understand the virtues, the values, imbibe that, follow, and become an adhikari. And in the 17th chapter also, it's going to be taught the same, but it in the form of sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic character. So sattva has to be taken, and this rajas and tamas has to be avoided. And later the sattva also has to be given up. First one has to become sattva pradhana purushaha, antakarna shuddhihi, asattva shuddhihi. The language of Gita, sattva shuddhihi, Bhagavan uses the word sattva shuddhihi. So that is the subject matter of this chapter. In fact, this has been highlighted before. These values, this Devi Sampata and Asuri Sampata has been highlighted before, where, if you remember, 9th chapter, 12th shloka. Moghasha mogha karmano mogha jnana vichetasaha rakshasi masurim chaiva prakritim moginim shataha. So there, Asuri Sampata, Moghasha, Mogha Karmanaha, Mogha Jnanaha, Vichetasaha, Rakshasim, disposition of Rakshasa, Asura, Prakritim, Moginim, Ashitaha, Shitaha. It is said, in contrast, the next shloka, the same chapter, said, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha, Devim Prakritim Ashitaha, Vajantenanya Manaso, Jnatva Bhutadim Avyayam. So the seed for this chapter is already laid in the 9th chapter, Shloka 12 and 13. So therefore, the Moghashaha is the Moghasha, Mogha Karmana, Mogha Asha, false hopes. And Mogha Karmana, karma which is of those people are not proper. Mogha Jnanaha, the knowledge is nothing but error only. They lack complete discrimination. Such is the disposition of an Asura, a Rakshasa. Whereas the other person is who is committed to spiritual life, spiritual disposition, and being a matured person, that person seeks me alone. Ananya manasaha bhajanti, mameva bhajanti. So, therefore, that person being mature, he seeks me alone. So, Devi and Asuri. One keeps oneself in samsara, whereas other one frees oneself in samsara. The sampata, the Devi sampata, is spiritual wealth. Devi sampata frees a person from samsara. Asuri sampat perpetuates samsara. The Rakshasa means Rakshasa is someone from one we have to protect ourselves. Because Rakshasa, Asura, they find enjoyment only in the sense objects. And for that, he doesn't mind even harming people also. Therefore, from whom we have to protect the Rakshasas, Asuras. Therefore, those values, no, not values. Therefore, their characters, their pursuit, how they act, how they behave, that also has to be known so that we can avoid it. And what values we have to cultivate as a sadhaka, spiritual wealth. That also has to be known, and not for judging, self-judgment. It is for imbibing and improving. So that is the intention. It is because sometimes when these values are highlighted, so we may self-judge ourselves. It is not for self-judging. It is for cultivating, imbibing and cultivating. These values are universal. Whether a person is spiritual or non-spiritual, material, whatever it is, values are values. These values alone makes a person really a person, a matured person. This person will not harm the society, will not harm the nature, will not harm any being, will be in fact a paropakari. Therefore, these values are important. But as a spiritual sadhaka, one should not be, one should not be complacent with these values. These are the means for jnana. These are the means for jnana, meaning these values, having these values, a person enjoys antakaranam, which is pure Shuddha, in which knowledge can take place. Like the sand which is tilled is ready for sowing and sprouting, same way. So let us begin the chapter 16. अथ षोडशोऽध्यायः
अथ
अथ षोडशोऽध्यायः
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
You can see the first three shlokas, 26 values are talked about. 26 Devi Sampat. And from the fourth shloka, Asuri. So 26 values. So we have to examine each value, what are they, and see. All the values are enumerated. You can see. Abhayam Sattvasam Shuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi.
अभयं सत्त्वः संशुद्धिः ज्ञानयोगो व्यवस्थितिः
Dhanam Damascha Yajñascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam.
दानं दमश्च यज्ञश्च स्वाध्यायस्तप आर्जवम्.
There are many chapters, important chapters to be memorized. This chapter also is one of them to be memorized. So first is Abhayam. Abhayam, then Sattva Samshuddhi. What is Bhaya? Bhaya is fear. Na Bhayam, Abhayam. So this Bhaya is the attitude. Bhaya is not of the body and all. It is of its attribute of the mind. We have Bhayam with reference to many things in the world. With reference to death, with reference to future, what will happen to me, there is Bhaya. With reference to death means with reference to the body. This body will go away. Abhimana is there. That is a problem. But Aham Atma not subject to birth or death. Najayate mriyate va kadachit. That knowledge from which we are protected from the fear of death. Only if I am the body, then there is death for me. I am not the body, then what is death for me? I am not born, therefore I will not be gone. What is born will die, and what dies will die only. So anyway, this body is born, it has to die. It is born, it is die, it is going to die. So anything in the world, what dies will die alone. So therefore, when it will die, that we don't know. But death is for sure. But the beauty is, Ajnanam, that Maya is so powerful, it clouds our Viveka, thinking that death is not for me and it will not happen then today or next moment. We don't know. It will happen only for others, and we hear or when we see the obituary, then we have a detachment buddhi. But when it comes to our close relations or even oneself, then there is fear. So, enough. Death is always waiting at the door. Anytime it can knock. Our karma. So therefore, always Swamiji says, this day is given. The present, it is a gift. Present is given. We have only this moment, this not even day, because in the moment we wake up, Prarabdha is waiting. What will happen, we don't know. So this moment I am there, this moment belongs to me, therefore I enjoy. So therefore, not worrying about the future, not worrying about the death which is impending, that is of course bound to come. Therefore, neutralizing those thoughts, they're all patterns of thinking. So by bringing its opposite, that is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. So when the thought comes, I will die, there is I will die, that thought comes, then this body will die. I should be replaced by the body and I should be associated with Atma. Aham Atma, I don't die. The body which has come made of this Panchabhuta will die. It is inevitable. Jayate hi, it is ye jantavah jayante te mritaha bhavanti eva. And it is a fact, and we know Jatasiki Dhruvam Mrtihu. Bhagavan has said, even that's a fact, everybody knows. Dhruvam Janma Mritasya cha. What is gone, again it will come. So it is only for the body, not for the Atma. But this moment I am there. So therefore, this moment I am there. This is like that. Every moment counts the whole day. That every day becomes today, now. A day. It is every day counts. Therefore, what you are is because of that every day, and that has become today. I'm alive. So this moment is given. Therefore, it is meant for celebration. It is meant for accepting and being at the present. So like that, if you live every day, take one day at a time, as Swamiji says, one day, one day, one day, then by some time after that, we see we have reached 80. So every day, living every day, not jumping and overthinking about what will happen after 5 or 10 years. We don't know. It is overthinking. What will happen next day, next moment itself, we don't know. Thinking about what will happen after 5 years or 10 years, 15 years, what will happen to the world also, we don't know. Therefore, all these are unnecessary, unwarranted fears. This is main fear, this is about death. Therefore, with regard to that, abhayam. And other one is the fear for the future. What will happen? How will I survive? Fear of loss of something. In fact, everything in the world is fraught with fear. As Bhartahari says, Roge, Bhoga Bhayam, all are Bhayam. Sarvavastu Bhayanvitam Bhuvinana Vairagyameva Abhayam. Abhayam. Therefore, Vairagyameva Abhayam. So that is the value. People having power, the power will go away. That's always a fear of losing power. So everything in the fear of losing beauty, fear of losing health. So everything in the world is fraught with fear. Therefore, Abhayam. That Abhayam, surrender to the Lord or Prarabdha. Whatever happens, let it happen. No pointing, worrying about it. That Abhayam, that is purely attitude. That has to be cultivated, that Abhayam. So therefore, Abhayam, the first value itself is Abhayam. How beautifully, I don't think because of this, the construction of the shloka, the meter purpose it is given, it is deliberately given Abhayam. Start with Abhayam, Bhayar Rakityam. Then Sattva Samshuddhi. Sattvam is Antakaranam. Antakaranasya Shuddhi. Antakarana should be Shuddhi. As we saw, 5th chapter, Raga Dvesha, Kama Krodha, Bhavam Vegam. So Antakaranam should be relatively free. Then only knowledge is possible. Then only yoga is also, meditation is also possible. Knowledge is by Shravanam. Unless the mind is Shuddhi, relatively Shuddhi, Shravanam cannot happen, therefore knowledge cannot happen. And Dhyanam, Nididhyasanam also, it is not possible. So therefore, if Antakaranam is not Shuddha, this Ashuddha Antakaranam will be obstacle for enjoying the results of both Shravanam as well as Nididhyasanam. Therefore, Sattva Samshuddhi. Sattva Samshuddhi. And Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi says. Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi. Jnanam is Atma Jnanam and Yoga is Jnanam, we can say. So Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi, that is steadiness in Jnanam, Shravanam and Yoga is Jnanam. Then Damaha, Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi, then Dhanam. Okay. Dhanam is there. Dhanam is charity, giving up by giving, not giving up, giving. Giving up is Tyaga. Dhanam is giving. Dana Dhanyadehe Yatashakti Samvibhagaha Dhanam iti uchyate. As per your, as much your, I mean, as per your capacity, Yatashakti. Sharing what you have with others. That is Dhanam. And also what you share must be earned by you properly, in the righteous way. Nyayena Nyayarjitasya. That you have to add. Nyayarjitasya Dhana Dhanyadehe Yatashakti Samvibhagaha. Sharing with others, in keeping with your capacity, those things what you have earned, nyayena, morally, properly, dharmically, that is dhanam. Dhanam alone really makes a person a person. This dhanam has to be dhanena adhanam tara. Swamiji's beautiful phrase. Shraddhaya dheyam, ashraddhaya dheyam, the Taittiriya Upanishad, that is, said that, that to give, that the mind doesn't come to give. Even the time also, giving not only money or dhanyam, even giving your time for the sake of others. That is dhanam. Okay. It's so therefore in dhanam there is some sacrifices involved. There is some, giving your time means you are giving, even though you don't have time, but still you give time. There is consideration of others, and there is something which you voluntarily give for others. So therefore, it is a value, which there is inclusion of others in that, that you wish the welfare of others by giving dhanam, helping a person to pursue, a student to pursue studies, you give money. That moment, what he receives, it helps him immensely for his progress in life. Those may be other stuff which we have not seen, but you have become the nimitta for it. That also involves punyam. And that when it comes to dakshina and all, dhanam is a must. One cannot be miserly. One has to give in keeping with one's capacity, or that negotiated, whatever it is negotiated with the priest, that should be given dhanam. It is not something new value which we have to imbibe from other religions and all. It is naturally is there in our Sanatana Dharma, this dhanam. Then Damaha, which we are familiar with, Bhagendriya Sanyamaha, Damaha, Indriya Nigraha Damaha. Control at the level of sense organs and therefore the actions. That is Damaha. So therefore you act deliberately, not carried away by your fancy. It is alertness, being alert. It is purely a value based on your will based value it is. So Dhamma should be there with regard to everything, with regard to every action what we do. That brings certain alertness. We don't do anything, we don't overdo anything, or we don't do anything, we don't We don't do any unnecessary thing. We do everything consciously, like walking, eating also. Conscious eating. Then yajnaha, dhanam, damascha. You should not take all these values for granted. All these values, that is subjectively where we are, how we are, how much we have, or what is lacking. One has to sincerely evaluate oneself for self-improvement, not for self-judging. Then yajnaha, Deva yajnaha, Pitra yajnaha, Bhuta yajnaha, Manushya yajnaha, Brahma yajnaha. All these 5 yajnas are there. So yajnaha, referring to all the 5 yajna. In fact, these 5 yajnas put together is what is called karma yoga. So yajnaha, the yajna is important. All the 5 yajnas, yajna, Agnihotra, the Shauta karma, Deva puja, the Smartha karma, all the karma, they are also yajna should be done. All these will have adrishtapalam and therefore will be conducive for the person's spiritual life. Then Swadhyaya. Because Swadhyaya is there, therefore Yajnaha, the word can cover 4 Yajnas. Swadhyaya will come under Brahma Yajna. Swadhyaya is reciting Veda every day. Any portion of the Veda, or even chanting, whatever Suktam, etc., or Taittiriya Upanishad chanting. If the person belongs to, most of us are belong to Yajurveda. Therefore, Yajurvediya, Upanishad, Taittiriya, etc., chanting every day, that also gives punyam. And that is required for our spiritual growth. Therefore, Swadhyayaha. Then Tapaha, another important value, disciplining the Shariram along with the sense organs. Tapaha. So Tapaha, Sukha, Dukkha, Labha, Alabha, Jaya, Parajaya, Adi, Dvandva, Sahanam. Putting up with all this. That is Tapaha. So therefore, no complaining. Saharam Sarvadukkanam, Apratikara Purvakam, Tapaha. Then Arjavam, Rujubhavaha Arjavam. Therefore, there is no kurukadness, avakratvam. There is no kutilata. So the mind, the words, and the body, all will be in alignment. Sarvada eka rupam manovak kaya karmasu. The person, with regard, that is the mind, body, and the sense of, and the action, all should be alignment for a person. That is arjavam. Not speaking one thing and doing another thing. Not playing fast and loose. So what one thinks should be right, and that what one does should be in keeping with what he thinks. So that is arjavam at all the levels. So these values are highlighted in the first shloka, and more values are the Devi Sampat are given the second and the third shloka, which we will see the next class. Total 26 values are highlighted. The 13th chapter, 20 spiritual values which are equated to Jnanam. And here we have 26 Devi Sampat. The spiritual dispositions are highlighted, are given. Okay. Next two shlokas we will see. We will see in the next class. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyai Stavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Jayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam Navidusvara Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Dhanyavadaha.
धन्यवादः जी.
धन्यवाद शरणजी.
धन्यवाद शरणजी.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.